My name's Lucinda Roberts, and I am the Fine Arts Program Coordinator for the Fine Arts Institute here at East High School in Green Bay. My family and I relocated here to Green Bay in 2003 in the fall, and after getting my kids situated in school and settled, I started thinking that I wanted to be, doing something else, and I'm a musician, I'm a pianist, and so I thought I could do piano lessons and still be available to work with my kids when they're in school. So I started teaching piano, and I needed to get some materials. So I had asked one of my neighbors, are there music stores in Green Bay? And so they were telling me, of a couple of stores, and they said Heid Music is just down on Oneida. And I didn't really know the area that great, but I knew how to get onto Oneida Street. I drove down there and I, walked in, and it turns out it was the side door, but it seemed like the front door to me. And Todd Heid was sitting at his desk, and he looked up and said hi, and I said hi. And I walked over and extended my hand and introduced myself, and I said, I'm new to the area, I said, and I'm teaching piano. I said, can you guide me to, materials and things? So he introduced me to people that could help me. So that was my first introduction to Heid Music. And then I had the opportunity to play piano at a department store for some special events. And they said that the instrument was going to be coming from Heid Music. And so I went back to Heid Music to ask them what instrument they were going to be provided, and they told me it was a Yamaha Clavinova. I asked if I could come in and try one out and see what it looked like and all, and play it a little bit. So Todd said, sure, come on in, So I went in and I was playing and just testing some things out. And there was a gentleman at a keyboard next to me, and he was talking to Todd and asking questions and stuff. He turned to me, he said, I don't mean to be rude, he said, but it's hard for me to hear him. He said, would it be okay if I got you some headphones? And I said, yeah, sure, that's fine. So he gave me headphones, and then the gentleman kept playing with the keyboard, and Todd worked with him. Well, then Todd left for a little bit, and so I had taken the headphones off, and this gentleman started talking to me, asking me questions. So I was pointing things out to him, and I kept thinking, Todd's going to come back, and Todd didn't come back, and he didn't come back, and he didn't come back. And from what I recall that he told me, he said that he thought then, I think I found my new piano sales rep. The next time I came in, then Todd said, hey, come here, I want to talk to you for a minute. So we started talking. He said, would you ever consider working here? And I said, well, yeah, I probably would. I was never looking for anything, but I thought, well, maybe, So anyway, that's kind of how I started at Heid, and I was there for 8 years. And then the opportunity to participate here at East and to serve here as a fine arts coordinator. And I thought, I feel like I could give back and do some more good in this capacity. I'd had my own band and had traveled, been to Europe, done different things. So I've done production a lot for things, or organizing, marketing, all those kinds of things to support performances, and was really blessed to be able to get this role. So I've been here. This is my 13th year. Well, being a musician, being able to make music, it's amazing. And it's very rewarding. My specialty is more improvisation, but I just love the freedom that I get with music. I have a lot of fun with it. I love playing with others. I've got a jazz quintet now that we're playing in. We're having a ball. The camaraderie that you get from making music with others is really fun. But I've also been a composer and have, been involved in that for many years. And the process is always exciting. And when you get stuck, then I start thinking, what else can I do with this? And when something is completed, whether it's a composition or even performances, there's a sense of satisfaction. I always want to bring a listener along with me on the journey, and hope that they enjoy it and that they have fun as well. But it has been my connection to meeting people throughout the years. I've met hundreds of people. When I was in Europe, I'm not fluent in another language, but music is that international language. There are times it's been difficult, it's challenging. To be a musician, you have to be willing to wear many hats. It's very rare that you really get to have somebody do everything else for you, and all you have to do is either write, rehearse, or show up and do the gig. That's very rare, but it's always a labor of love. I've never felt like, oh, darn, I have to do this. It's always like, oh, cool, we're going to work on this one. Music is fabulous. Music is huge for student learning. It engages the brain in a way that allows it to take in information and lock it in. We've seen even in elementary students that after they've had specific music lessons and sessions, then we would have them do math. And at the end of that school year, their test results, there was major improvement. I mean, over 20% improvement in their math grades. And we can directly tie that and correlate that to having had music lessons. So being in education and sharing my musical journeys helps give credibility to music for students and helps them, kind of take in that there's value to this. And to the parents that are wondering, why should my student be involved in this? It takes up so much time. They're never going to make a living at it. They think those types of things. But there's so much that goes beyond that, because music helps make a person more human too. And there are so many things that you gain in musical studies. I knew at 3 years of age, sitting in our little church and watching the pianist play, that I wanted to play the piano one day. And she would wear this hand-crocheted white shawl every time she played, and I just thought that would be the most amazing thing, to get to play piano in church and wear a white shawl. And I've had that opportunity for well over 50 years. I can't believe it's that long. It doesn't feel that long. I've seen major changes in church music, going from traditional all the way to very contemporary full bands, bands with orchestra backup, all those types of things. But as a jazz musician, all the training I've had really translates into that as well. I started on the accordion when I was 9, and they told my parents, don't buy a piano yet, wait and see if she's talented and if she'll practice. And that was November of 1965. In March of 1966, I came home from a music lesson and there was a piano in the living room. And I've been playing ever since. I didn't even take my coat off. I was so excited. I sat there for a couple hours and just tinkered away. Well, I always loved old movies. I was in love with Busby Berkeley movies from the 30s. I'd watch Marx Brothers and Chico and Harpo Marx, and they were wonderful musicians, amazing. And I always thought it was so cool when Chico would play, and he would do these funny little things when he would play. Like he'd take his hand like this, and he would just go boink, 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 and play different notes in these big, grand pieces. And they were difficult. They were not easy pieces. Then there was a lady in one old movie that she played the Chopin Prelude in D flat. It's also known as the Minute Waltz. And they set a timer, and she played it in a minute. No repeats, but she played the whole thing top to bottom. And I thought, wow, I want to do that. It was really a lot of, movies as a kid. A Saturday morning, eating a bowl of cereal, watching an old movie. The one that really influenced me a lot was Liberace, because he made it look so fun. And he always had a candelabra on the piano. My mom had silver candelabras. And when nobody was home, when I was a teenager, I'd get the candelabra and I'd put it on my piano and I'd play Beethoven. The first real nerve-wracking, marking moment was in 8th grade, playing for the junior high talent show. And the movie Love Story had come out, and Francis Lay had composed that wonderful theme, Love Story. And Henry Mancini had arranged it. And so I played the Henry Mancini arrangement of Love Story for the talent show. There was one section when it changes keys, and I had memorized it by sight more than anything. And so I just kept hoping my hands would grab the right keys, and they did. And so that was a very exciting moment. So that was really like the first one that marked me. When I got into college and declared myself as a jazz piano major, and then just different opportunities that came along, and then just pushing to try to get opportunities to play out, and trying to get gigs lined up. Just putting myself out there, and challenging myself to just keep playing. And the more you play, the better you get. In the early 90s, I had an opportunity to play with Luis Palau, who was an evangelist from Argentina. And he did a huge event throughout the city of Chicago. We played at the University of Illinois campus. They had a big performing center, and it was packed, 17,000 people, and that's the most I'd ever played for before. And that was incredible. And then we also played the Rosemont Horizon. They had like 17 to 20,000 people. Just having really unique opportunities. And the best that really came out of everything that I've just had the privilege of working with, this is our 18th year, is Doctors in Recital. And that's just been fabulous. And I actually started doing that when I was at Heid Music in 2007. And so we've done, this will be our 16th show. The community building from that, my musicianship has improved a lot over the years. And working with people that have high expectations for themselves, because people in the medical community, physicians, they are always striving to be the best. And so I can't slouch and say, well, that's good enough to get by. It's like, no, it's not. And it's like, I better go practice. I've gotten to meet some wonderful, great pianists over the years. And the thing that we all have in common is that developing a skill set can be lonely. And I think that's why so many of us like to play in groups, because when you get to a level of ability that you can play well with others, you remember all those hours you spent by yourself, and it's like, this is the dessert. I had my dinner and I ate my protein and I had my vegetables and I did what I had to do, but now it's dessert time. I wouldn't be doing a lot of the things I'm doing today had I not been part of a Heid team at one time. I have friendships with people that I still see on a very regular basis that I met through Heid Music as well. And their desire to serve musicians and to support musicians meant a lot to me, and it still does. And I'm honored to say that I've been a part of that over the years, and that one of the things that I dearly love, which I've talked about, Doctors in Recital, wouldn't have been possible had I not been at Heid and had their support for doing it too. So thanks Todd and Dee Dee, and thank you Heid Music.
Let us help you find your melody at Heid Music.